G'day friends, welcome to today's YouTube video. My name is James, welcome back to my channel, welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be flipping my Christmas journal, and it is now no longer just a Christmas journal. I think I've mentioned this before, but it became kind of like an everything journal, and I didn't want to just stop using it because Christmas had finished and I wasn't going to try and like finish it all Christmas style. I felt like, let me just keep using it into the new year and we'll see what happens. So this is Christmas 2022 and also the start of 2023. I finished it just the other day and I feel like I've been waiting so long to show you this because it's one of my favorite journals. It's like an everything journal. There's everything in here. And I even showed you how I made this on YouTube. I think it's on YouTube. It's out of Trader Joe's paper bags. They were the Christmas ones. So you can see the little elf feet back here. You'll see some Christmas houses in here. Most of them just became the background pages, but essentially it created this absolutely massive craft paper journal. And because it was made out of recycled shopping bags, I didn't really care too much about how I used it or what I did with it. And typically is the case, right? You have these journals that you don't care too much about and then suddenly they've just become the best thing ever. So I'm so excited to flip you through this. It's going to be chatty, it's going to be long. I hope you're in for that today. Let's get into it. There'll be a music only version of this flip as well, just in case you don't want to hear all the chatting. I'll try and link it in the description box. If not, just search through the channel. You will find it. Anyway, the front I did a whole bunch of stickers, and this is actually a photo I took of myself in the studio. There's a whole video I did kind of taking my own self-portrait in the studio. I love the photo, so I printed it out huge, put it on the front, just because I feel like I like that it references like where this journal was made. Also, I just love photography and I love printing out photos. So you'll see a lot of that in here too. And then I just decorated it with a whole bunch of different stickers, just little clusters of stickers everywhere from all different places. And I think it turned out fab. The protector kind of plastic thing was recycled from packaging. It was actually this Disney sticker kit. Steve got me this Disney journaling kit from Disneyland, which had some really great stickers and washi tapes and stuff in it. But I used the plastic from the packaging to make this because you can see how scratched up it is. That photo would never have survived just on the cover that way. So even though it's all scratched up in front, I feel like I just wanted to do it. I don't know, I've never done that before. Felt like it was a good choice for me. Let's get into it. All right, there's gonna be a lot of Christmas, so maybe you want to save this for later in the year, around Christmas time. Here is everything. Photos, photos, photos. The best part about this journal, no lie, was being able to print out my photos large, like 4x6, 5x7, 8x10, printing out massive size photos because I just don't really have any other journals I can do that in. Even in my photo journals, I started printing them bigger, but they're still traveler's notebook size. There's only so far you can go with the height and width. But this was what I was missing, I think, in my journaling life, was just a humongous space. And for other big things, I'll show you as well. Like, look how big this photo is. I got my whole Christmas card in here. The Don We Now Our G'day apparel. Steve and I did this at Southwest Rocks. So this also has a lot of my family Christmas holiday that we did in November when my sister got married. So you'll see a lot of family stuff. In fact, that's the behind the scenes of shooting this Christmas card. Steve was setting it all up. My sister was taking vlog footage for my Australia vlog. There's my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, our nephew, like everyone got involved. It was really funny. And that was our Christmas card, which we loved. And then we just had a photo from the beach on the back just to celebrate Southwest Rocks. That was at the Hunter Valley Christmas lights, all these lights photos. My sister gave me her family Christmas photos. So these children you'll see a lot in here. This is my nephew Elijah, and this is my niece Savannah. I call him Lige and I call her Hootie Bell. So whenever I refer to Lige and Hoots or Hootie, that's those two, and that's my little sister's children. I have some dancing photos in here as well for dancing in the Christmas parade. I did two different roles there, and this one is ball and this one is finale. So if you hear me talk about that, that's that. And sometimes I will like print out or like screenshot texts that I get from people just because I think it's a fun thing to have a very like physical memory of, rather than just being in your phone. Sometimes I feel like all that phone stuff is just going to disappear into a cloud one day and I'll never have it. So I do like to print out random screenshots from my phone a lot. We took these Santa photos at the Hunter Valley Lights. Hootie hated it. My mum always gets like a really standard smiling photo, but then she loves the candid, crazy stuff. So a lot of our family photos are usually pretty stupid. And there's a photo of my gran and I. That was the last photo we had together. was visiting her in Darwin to see my brother. You'll see my brother in here actually. But Southwest Rocks and Christmas is just very much about my gran, so I felt like I had to have her in here as well. The stickers you kind of see everywhere are from Collage Club. I did a whole bunch of different Christmas type stickers sheets or like collage sheets, but some of them aren't really from Collage Club. Like this one was from the minis and I loved that sheet. I want to do that again. But you'll see a ton of these decorative things come from that, and the rest are just photos from my camera. Not even from my camera, they're from my phone. If you ever wonder, like most of the photos I take are from my phone. Even the videos I make are from my phone. So phones are amazing. This is a card my sister made me. My sister makes me lots of handmade cards and gifts, and I just absolutely love it. And this is why I love this big journal as well, because there's nowhere I could put this. Like, it's full size. She doesn't skimp out on the stickers and the rhinestones and the size of these cards. I mean, she'll go full A4. So she had her giving birth on that thing. It's so funny. Photos are so funny. So she made this for me. She colored this in, cut it all out, made it. And I just want to keep these things. And I do keep them, but I put them in storage and then I never get to see them. When they live in journals, I flip through these all the time. So I get to see this all the time, which this is, I need to keep these. Plot twist, I've already made another, massive Trader Joe's paper bag, recycled paper bag journal, because I just love it. Like, look, this massive Coke Zero thing I thought was so fun with the Christmas icons. I mean, do I need to keep that garbage? No, but I have garbage journals, and this essentially became a mashup of all my favorite bits of all the other journals. I love my photo journals. There's photos all through here. Love my garbage journals. I started putting all my garbage in here, especially if it was Christmas themed garbage. I loved my journals to draw in. You'll see there's drawing and art in here as well. I loved like everything I use journaling for, documenting and painting and playing and photos and junk, collecting junk. It's all in here. So this really did become one of my favorites. Steve took me to see Moulin Rouge, which I loved. That was my birthday. I think no, that was at Segerstrom. Oh, we saw it twice. Yes. That's when we just came back from Australia. I decided we had to go and see it again. It was really good. Loved it. The seats were really far away, though. It was kind of interesting to see it so far away. I think I much prefer to be closer, very much in the action, just because that show is so intense. And I just want to be in it, like closer and closer, if not on the stage. But it's fine. They were the only seats you could get, but it was still good. Oh, look, I haven't said all good. Last minute nosebleed seats, but it's all good. That's a clothing brand, I think from Target or Big W in Australia. Forget. I did put a lot of my art snacks in here as well. Another great reason to have this, because a lot of those pieces are really large as well, or they're on really heavy cardstock that I wouldn't really put in a small journal because it's just too thick. So because this is really flimsy, paper bags for shopping, they're not super flimsy, but they're very thin. Like there's not a lot of substance to them. I can put all of this cardstock in here and actually use it up, like the inserts from things. This big old, cardboard from a drinks package. I can put everything in here, lay it up with more cardstock drawings, and it really just helps to strengthen the journal. It doesn't bulk it up to the point where I can't use it anymore because it's so big and there's only so few pages in here. I'm not quite sure how many leaves I ended up putting into this. You'd have to go back into the video to watch when I put it together, but there's not a ton. And you just keep adding and adding and adding, and you get a lot of tip-ins, so that's what kind of bulks it all up. I will say it's quite heavy now. Like, it's a big journal, but I was never going to take it anywhere, so as long as it fits on the desk, I don't mind how heavy it is. Here's some drawings that I did, some Wednesday Addamses. It's a lot of Wednesday Addams in here. And a lot of these photo strips are from Instagram. I always wanted to print out like the carousel of photos that I do on Instagram. I wanted to print them out like photo strips. Not the old school with the, the film on the edges or anything, but just like a whole run-on of photos, just so I could whack them down. Again, it's so hard to print that full size or like big with any kind of detail in them, because where are you going to put that? Like, my journal would have to be huge to have these. So I cannot rave enough about how amazing it is to have so much size in a journal page. It is everything to me. You can see lots of my junk in here as well are notes, little post-it notes. These are presents I bought for Steve, and I was tracking them to make sure I didn't buy him too much, which didn't work because I ended up buying him way too much. But I keep that. Cute tags. Yeah, I did put a lot of my junk in here as well. A lot of Collage Club original stuff as well. This was one of the backgrounds that I did, but it was the original. And so I really found a good use for that. And scrapbooking cardstock, you know, the big 12 by 12 paper pads for scrapbooking? I have a ton of those, but again, it's cardstock, and I don't really like to bulk everything up too much in smaller journals. They bulk up way too quickly, especially if they've got a lot of pages. So this has been amazing for that. Like, even this was an offcut of one of the 12 by 12 pages. I just whacked it down. I really used up a ton of stuff that I struggled to destash from my piles of junk in my studio. So this was great for that. This was about my audition for Knott's Berry Farm, which was wonderful, a wonderful experience. It really did put a lot of like confidence back into me for auditioning, just because it's been a long time, you know. You get back into it slowly, especially after the pandemic. There haven't been a ton of opportunities to audition, so that was really great. And yeah, I'm confidently auditioning again, so that's nice. I do have to take care of myself much more intensely than I remember when I was 22, but it's fine. There's my audition number. I always like to keep those, even though that's literally been sweat through. Don't think about that. It's all dry now. I'm sure it's fine. I like it. It's just my memory. Sometimes they go in there. Sometimes they go in my 5-year journal. Like my most recent audition, that number is in my 5-year journal. And they never really, like, I don't get superstitious about the numbers, but if it is a number that means something to me, I do get a little bit like, oh. And 28 is so funny because 28 doesn't mean it. I mean, it does mean something to me, but it's usually 27 or 29. My birthday and my brother's is the 27th of July. My sister's is the 29th. But the 28th is my mum and my gran's, just in a different month. So it does mean something to me, but usually 27 or 29 would be like my ultimate superstitious number. This is my crown from my bonbon. Finally, a place to keep that too. I know I think I stapled a couple in my last Christmas journal. That was Traveler's Notebook size. So very different vibes here. Elijah colored this in at the Hunter Valley Garden, so I got to keep that. Perfect. I could keep it full size. In the past, if I wanted to keep something like this, I'd either have to cut it out, like cut little bits of it out, use it as a background so it would keep covering it anyway, but I'd still have it. Or I would scan it and then print it smaller, or take a photo of it and just print it smaller, or just print that, right? And just have this in the background. But I kind of like, again, having all the space, being able to use it all. It was a different experience because I felt a little lazy, just like whacking a couple of things on here and then moving on to the next page. I felt like that's not enough. Like I didn't work on it. But at the same time, I was like, well, you don't need to work on it. Like, it's just your Christmas journal. Just chuck all your junk in there and move on. I just felt like everything needed more. It had to be like, you know, there needs to be production about it. But the more I went through it, the better I got at just chucking it all down and saying, oh, there you go. And then sometimes I'd come back and add things. Like these are leftover name tags, name stickers for presents, and I felt like they were great to add all little journaling spots everywhere. Or I'd come back in with my gold pen and I'd just run it around the borders of things if I felt a little bored. My red pen, I'd run around the border of these stickers from Collage Club. I put captions next to a lot of things as well. I don't need to write a whole ton of journaling. Excuse me a second, my nose. I don't need to write a ton of journaling for everything, but you know, these little tags from the Daiso, there's a craft version. I have a white version as well. They're just little labels, for like name labels. That was enough just to write kind of small and write a little caption about something, or just a title like nictivity.whorls.jpg. I was doing a weird thing on Instagram, and every time I did a little photo dump in Australia, I'd put like australia.jpeg.final or something, like something stupid, like it was a file name on a computer. I don't know what crawled into me doing all that. It must have felt very Gen Z, but I find this funny because this is a nativity scene at the Hunter Valley Gardens, and a lot of those, there might be a photo of it somewhere, I'm sure there is. A lot of the statues look like they were made with a 3D pen, and so it was like a whole 3D pen kind of plastic nativity that lights up and has a story. But for some reason, my family have always called it Nictivity. Not like they don't know it's nativity, but the joke came from somewhere. I cannot pinpoint it for the life of me, but I was teaching Stella and Steve about the tradition of the Nativity. And yeah, I guess I'm getting carried away talking about that. I can't zone in too much on one thing because I will be here for 50 years. But we were staying at the caravan park that I stayed at my whole life, all my summer holidays. My family's actually all retiring up to Southwest Rocks now, so I feel like I'm going to be there literally all the time now, which is great. I love it. It always just feels like summer holiday to me, so perfection. And that's me coming down the slide with Hootie. The slide is kind of new. That pool area is not, though. I've been in that since I was a child, so it's kind of funny to see the parts that remain from, the 90s and the parts that are new. My family's actually been going to Southwest Rocks for 4 generations. And this Australia holiday was a mixture of the Central Coast, which is where I grew up. My sister lives kind of like near Newcastle now, or I forget what's the actual place called. Currumbong. She lives in Currumbong. My other parts of my family live in Southwest Rocks, so that's the mid-north coast. And then we did Sydney and the Hunter Valley. So those are kind of the 4 things Australia-wise you'll see. There we were playing Snap. Steven Stiller had never heard of Snap before. I had no idea. And they loved it. My brother was laughing his head off. It was so funny. Smoky Cape Lighthouse. I've got a few little envelopes in here with just some letters and notes. I won't pull out those letters and notes because some of them are a bit personal. And we'll just keep going. This was the backing sticker. I weeded it off the label paper for all the name labels, and I decided to use each box for a little bit of journaling about something. Just random photos I had. This was another one of the photo dumps from Australia. The crying room. They went on a joyride flight. My stepdad is a pilot, and he has his own, he's a part of a syndicate that own a plane, and he took them on a flight around Sydney Harbour, which I've done before, and I do not like it. This was back in the old days when he did it in the Cessna, and I hated it. But this new plane they've got is really state-of-the-art, and it has a parachute, so even if it falls out of the sky, apparently it's fine. But that's just not enough for me. I just don't care to do it anymore. I really don't care. And my mum was like, oh, it's okay then, she'll go. My mum, Stella, and Steve went in, and when my stepdad got out of the plane, he said that was the worst flight he's ever had, in his entire life. My mum said that she thought they were going to die. There was a bit of turbulence where the wing had slapped some air or something, and she thought the wing had ripped off. Stella looked absolutely distraught when she came back, and even Steve goes, you were probably right not to come. So the crying room is relevant because as soon as we finished that flight, we went to the Hunter Valley Gardens because they did the flight from the Hunter Valley, and there was a crying room in the little chapel, and Stella went over there, I think, to have a little bit of a cry. Not for real, just to make a joke of it. But yeah, they were a little traumatized by it, and to even hear my mum be shaken up about it, I thought, yeah, definitely. I definitely did not miss out on that, which was nice. I actually stayed in the hangar the whole time, and it was about an hour and a half, I guess, or just over an hour, but there was I didn't have any cell reception, so I was just kind of killing time there, and I was actually practicing all of my parade choreography in the hangar the whole time. It was like a dance class. So I was really having the time of my life until they came back, and it was so funny because they were all distraught. But it was a great time in the end. These bags are from, what are they called? Target? I forgot his name. What's his name? It must be somewhere. They did an artist collection for Target, and I just thought his collection was really nice, so I kept that. This is Merry Mix Media stuff, the free Christmas mini course that I do each year, and some more dancing. And this was already here for Christmas, the Christmas parade, but then I did another cavalcade called the D100, the Mickey and Friends D100 cavalcade, for celebrating the Disney 100th anniversary, and that just went for about a month. And it stopped now, and that was the last thing I did, and I really, really miss it. So I just decided to put all my other dancing photos here because this is a little photo gallery now that I'm dancing again, and I really hope to have more there soon. But yeah, I did a little bit of a journaling about that. I love the photos. Obviously love the photos. And my little niece, my Hootie's a dancer now. My sister enrolled her in ballet, which is very unlike her. I didn't think my sister would really care to do any of that, but yeah, there's a little photo of me in my tutu, so we're the same. She really loves it. She twirls. My sister will play music and she'll just dance in the living room, so maybe she's got an aptitude for it. I don't know. It does run in the genes, I have to say. I would love it if she was a little dancer, but I'm not one of those people that like, I don't I don't live vicariously through the children. Like, I'll be so happy if they're happy, whatever they choose to do. But obviously, there's a little soft spot in my heart for Hootie being a little ballerina. She's so young though. Like, I don't. How old is Hootie? She's not even 2. She's literally not even 2 years old, and she's already doing dancing. So she'll be trained. There's Oliver, our cat. There's Oliver and Bianca. You rarely see photos of Bianca because she's just not that super affectionate. But I've been trying lately to get more photos of her because I feel like I just only have photos of Oliver. This was from Playtest Patreon. A lot of that artwork is in here as well. The originals from when I did the Valentine's Day version of the art book Playtime. And whenever my sister sends me photos of the children, I just print them out and put them in here because I love the children. I love my nieces and nephews, and I print out their photos all the time. They just grow so quickly. Every time I flip a new journal, I'm like, oh yeah, fully grown. Like, I swear the last journal I had Elijah in, he was a baby. So I don't know what she's feeding them, but she needs to stop. This is Art Snacks, one of the the test pages and the finished pages, so that was great. A lot of these are just stored in a journal down there that not glued in or anything. They're in my big A3 journal because it was the only thing that would kind of hold them all. So I think over time I will just harvest them from there and pop them into these big journals and give them a permanent home. That is my twin brother. If you don't know, I do have a twin brother. We're fraternal. And he is 17 minutes older than I am. That's my little sister. This was on her wedding day, her getting married. And yeah, there he is, if you've ever wondered. I know I've mentioned him a lot. I've said I have a twin brother a lot, but there's never photos of him. He doesn't really like photos. So I figured I'd print at least one and put him in there. We're very, very different. I love my brother. We're very, very different. Sometimes it can be a bit of a struggle having us in the same place at the same time. Which is so annoying because he was so nice to Steve. I feel like he's never that nice to me. I feel like he was putting it on as an act, to be honest, to make me seem like I'm a liar to Steve. Whatever. We have a very typical brotherly relationship where we're always fighting. Anyway, this is Elijah at the Hunter Valley Gardens. I have photos of him even younger on this Humpty Dumpty. So I'm going to have to compile a little before and after. I thought this photo was so funny. You can't really see it, but Oliver was loving the television. Like, he was watching the whole movie. He watched Tangled. And he was right up against the edge of the seat as well, just watching it the whole time. Anyway, strepsils. I really like strepsils. This we did on Instagram Live, I believe, the White Christmas. And I wanted to do this. I've got a whole secret thing planned for one Christmas, but these are some of my favorite Christmas movies. And so if you ever see anything referenced in here, there might be from that, like a quote or whatever. Are the things that we watch a lot. Like, some aren't really my favorite, but they're the ones that we just put on all the time. White Christmas is one of them. The Grinch is one of them. Santa Claus, just the original one. We put that on all the time. Family Stone is running like non-stop. Home Alone is running non-stop, and Home Alone 2. I will watch Jingle All the Way maybe about once per Christmas season. I'll Be Home for Christmas. That's like once every other year. That just reminds me of my auntie. A Christmas Story, like I don't love it, but that reminds me of my auntie as well. So I watch them when I want to feel homesick. But the ones that we really watch all the time are Family Stone, White Christmas, The Grinch, Home Alone. And then some of the newer ones too. We watch the Christmas episode of Schitt's Creek every other day through the season. And there's another one, I can't remember what it was called, but it has Dan Levy in it with... what's her name? Kristen Stewart, the one from Twilight. It's her, and they go and visit a family. I don't know what it's called, but we watched that one too. It's relatively new. I think it's Netflix. Anyway, here's just a bunch of stuff here. Packaging or junk. More stickers and artworks. You can see more of that 12 by 12 scrapbooking paper in there. And even some tissue paper from actual gifts that I'll keep as well. This is something I did on YouTube, I believe. I did a whole video on this. These are actually decorations from my Christmas tree. So I did a whole collage sheet for Mirror Mix Media last year and gave everyone a download of that. and so that they could make their own kind of decorated tree. But these all have kind of like not super sentimental meaning. Like this doesn't really have a super sentimental meaning, but a lot of them were specifically handpicked. Like every year we'll go and pick some really specific ornaments for our tree because Steve just really likes to curate it, even though I don't mind a more crazy looking tree. Like I could make it look junky, but Steve likes it to be very just so. So we have a lot of things that we've picked because they mean something specific. Like this was from Australia, this was from Australia, like the most recent trip. Obviously the ruby slippers for me. I get my sister ornaments each year as well, ever since she's moved into her own home, and she's kind of creating that family Christmas experience for her family now, her growing family. I feel like it's nice if I can like just give her Christmas stuff each year, just so it gets bigger and bigger and she has like a really full Christmas set. Because you know when you move in, like you move anywhere, you just don't have everything and you can't buy it all at once. It's way too expensive. So we have a lot of matching ornaments, which I just really like as well. So my sister and I have these ceramic deer, which I love. I missed out on these ceramic deer the first year they had them, and I really, really wanted them. Then people were scalping them on eBay for like $40 a set, which was like way too much. And then the next year, when I went out as soon as Christmas was released at Target, and they had them again, so I got them that year. So I had to wait a full year for those. The plain is from my stepdad. This runs of the family stone. The lemon from my husband. We have one of these big vintage trees, the ceramic trees, but we have a mini one for the thing as well. I made that cocoa ornament for Steve years ago. I was going to start a tradition of making ornaments, but that's a lot. Like, this is a lot of pressure for me. I might start it. I don't know. If I did, it will have to accept that there's gaps in the years. Anyway, lots of fun there. Oh, we had a lot of lovely visitors to the Christmas parade. Here are family photos Steve took, and Stella, because Steve is in a couple of them. Stella helped take them as well. These are family photos at Southwest Rocks. My gran had a photo on this rock that my mum really wanted to just do something family, and she said she brought up all of these Hawaiian shirts, which we used to all wear as a family. We'd go to Southwest Rocks like on Boxing Day or just after Boxing Day, and we'd stop at this cafe and everyone would be wearing the Hawaiian shirts. And so it's kind of like a family tradition. So I don't know how she ended up with all of them, but she had all of them. She brought them up and she's like, well, I've got the Hawaiian shirts. And poor Steve is very like curated about his photography. And I said, you just have to abandon everything you think you want. Like, it's my mom, you know, she just loves crazy and happy and loud and like just do whatever, like take the edge off. No one really cares. And then I went through Auntie's house and she had a photo of Gran sitting on this rock. Which was really beautiful. And I was like, well, since mum is like the gran now with all of her grandchildren, maybe we should just recreate that for like the next generation. So we did that and it was really beautiful and it's just really nice. This is Back Creek at Southwest Rocks. They have this massive footbridge, which is new. That is a new footbridge. I'm trying to look for something over here. There was an old one, which I remember from when I was little, and they only updated it a few years ago. Where on earth is it? I'm gonna be so upset here. They only updated it a few years ago to this new one. And we all used to jump off the top over here when it was high tide. I stopped doing that after I turned like 11 because my imagination got the better of me. And I used to feel like I would jump into the mouth of a shark every time I would land. So I stopped doing it, but people still jump off there all the time. Anyway, all of that to say, when we went to the little cafe, just by here, there's a new little cafe over in the parking lot. Steve got me this. It's made out of the old footbridge. It's one of the walking planks. So 4 generations of my family have walked over that bridge because we used to go to the beach that's just behind there. In fact, the Christmas card photo of Steve and I at the beach is just behind there. My family don't really go to that beach anymore, Back Beach, but I remember, this is the most vivid memories I have of Southwest Rocks as a child, is walking over this bridge, jumping off it, or like floating down, catching the current out to the ocean and trying to swim off to the sandbar before you get swept out. My gran would just float down there with us. And so I got this pen and I think it is one of the most sentimental pens I own. Someone local just hand carved it from the wood from the old planks. They got rid of it. And you can still see, like right next to it, you can still see the poles from the old one. Like they hadn't fully removed everything yet. So I don't know, just a really sentimental story. But I like even more so that we did our family photos there, because you have like, Australia is so picturesque. You can go to the Smoky Cape, you can do it looking over the entire ocean or the entire coastline. Like there's so many great places to take photos, and like on this little bridge, you wouldn't think, was the most stunning place that you could have had a photo, but they just turned out so beautiful. And all of these little candid ones of Hootie Bell being the center of attention. She is such an attention seeker. I love it. These ones where everyone's happy and screaming, like these are my favorite. The nephews, Steve and I. So yeah, I printed them all out. I backed them onto this kind of knit. It's like a red knitted cardigan texture from the scrapbooking papers, and I made this faux gallery wall just to hang them all up. But I think I do want to get one printed big for my house. But the only problem is everything we do is kind of black and white, and I don't know if these would look good in black and white. I'll have a look. I also kept the the stamps. Stickers with old men on them. Clock that reference. This is just because I like seeing Steve and my name written together. Or people write like Limones Burke family. I think that's really cute. I don't know, there's something really sweet about it. It's just to see that, I don't know. I get really sentimental about things, can you tell? There's the Christmas episode of Schitt's Creek that we love. Anyway, I'll move on from this. There's James Jeffries, something like that. His name's coming to me. I may not get it, but just that popped into my head. I know it's something Jeffries. Jeffrey Jones? No idea. I printed out some of the movies that we watched, like some of the new ones. That Matilda musical was pretty good. This Spirited one was actually kind of funny as well. A little bit long for me, but it was funny. Spoiler alert, had me absolutely bawling my eyes out. I don't know if I could watch that again, unless I was in a really good place. It was so sad. And I've been watching Abbott Elementary, which is just kind of like an easy background kind of watch. I mean, I actually do watch it. It's not just in the background, but like I used to watch Superstore a lot, and that has the same vibes, like workplace comedy vibes. So I just enjoy that. Just my little notes. I got notes for everything. I don't like to throw them away because I think they're kind of fun. They evoke up their own memories, even though they're just junk information. Instagram, we're doing this bonus thing for doing reels, and I was already uploading my old TikToks, so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll do it. For months I had said no, like I don't want the bonuses, I don't want to sign up for anything monetized on Instagram, because I felt like they would treat your account different. Like if they think it's a business that you're running it that way, that they'd start pushing more ads, or there'd be whatever. The funny thing was that they were like, oh, you can earn up to $1,200 a month. And I thought, oh, well, that's not bad. I guess I'll give it one go. We'll see what it's like. And then the views that converted to money, it was so low to get a good amount of money that I was like, oh, wow, this is a really sweet deal. But you needed $100 to cash out. And they'd pay it the month after the month you'd earned it, or some stupid thing like that. It's all like this for social media stuff, for ad revenue and everything. But I thought it'd be funny to tell you, because I did it. I made the $100, and I was like, oh, I thought they would throttle me at $99 and then make it like impossible for me to get the last dollar, because that's just typical. Like they'll do stuff like that. But then I got to $100 and I was like, yay, I can be paid out. Like, this is great. I'm just going to keep going. And then once you got to $100, then they throttled it. So like you could put like 7 to 10 reels up, make $100. And then by that logic, you would only have to put, another 10 reels up and make another $100 or whatever. That is not the case. Then once it got to $100, they throttled it so that you would need, to get the entire bonus, you would need 11 million views. And as someone who averages like 100 views per reel, that was absolutely hilarious to me, because I was like, oh, there you go. I knew it was coming. I knew the throttling was coming, but I don't really speak much about the money side and the business side of everything I do here, but that is something that I thought was funny. And maybe people wondered why I suddenly started uploading more reels. I was curious to see what they were doing there. And as it happens, I think they've actually cancelled that bonus program now. So I did it for a couple of months and made a couple $100, and then was like, oh, there you go, all finished. You never know with social media, do you? So, send a thought out to your favorite influencer, because they're probably struggling right now trying to make money on Instagram. I think those days are coming to an end. Watch, the whole world is going to shift soon. YouTube's still okay though. Not for me, but for other like famous YouTubers. Journal prompts, I don't know what that was about. I'm sure I could figure it out if I wanted to spend longer. Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, really cute little film I watched on the plane on the way home. Steve actually told me he watched it on the plane to Australia and said it was so cute. And then it was on the plane home, so I watched it and it was actually really cute. Another photo strip from, this was a trip to Bondi in Sydney. This was a lanyard that my mum got that I cut up because I don't really use that stuff, but I will use it for ephemera. These are from Steve's cocoa season this year. They have the little marigolds that you can write on, and I always write one for Gran and put it on the strings. Videos. This is keeping track of videos that I needed to make. Sometimes I write notes for what I need to say on my videos. Never like a script, but just points that I make sure I have to hit because people need information that I forget about because I get sidetracked talking. I really wish I knew what this guy's name was now. It's going to kill me. There's another bag. There's nothing in this one. These were just all photos I had left over or random little photos that didn't really have a place. So I made a border out of that. That was just kind of like a mindless activity that I did over time. Like if ever I had one, I was like, oh, I'll pop it in here. I'll pop it in here. Means absolutely nothing. So I like that too. Sometimes you need a reminder that, I mean, me specifically, I need a reminder that literally not everything has to be about something and make sense. You can just do it because it feels good or you just want to put something somewhere. Sticker therapy. I mean, it's not a real therapy, but a lot of people do enjoy just mindlessly using stickers. This was from Playtest Patreon. We did an art book playtime. These are my sketches from just kind of going through it. It was Tim Walker's storyteller book. He's a fashion photographer. This is just stuff that I was inspired to draw as I walked through it. And this is actually from a Cardi paper journal that fell apart. So since it fell apart and I felt like I didn't want loose sheets everywhere, I've kind of reassembled parts of the journal within this journal. I love a good journal in a journal. Dream within a dream tour. So that is where this resides now. I really love her. She's in a collage sheet that is assembled, but I don't know when I'm going to do it. It's a stripes collage sheet. My playtest Patreon people would know, because I gave you that whole list of all the ones that are coming, but when you voted on them. This is my old, what is it called? Swatch card for my watercolors. I've just updated them for the new season for spring. These were sketches from my collage club. And I was really happy with this thumbnail I did for my Australia vlog. So I printed it out big. I'd love it. I could put this in a frame in my house too. It just took me ages to do this. I put so much of our photos and our family in here. Look at the hoodie. There's my brother again. Nephews, family, my sister getting married. Steve took the photos. There's a custard tart in there. Love it. Stella. That was us at the wedding. These are all AI photos as well. Steve and I were putting our head, there's a TikTok filter, an AI one. I'm sure you've seen it if you've been on social media at all. But Steve and I were putting both of our head in the circle so that it would make a mashup of both of us. And it was so funny because as I was looking at it, like some of them looked a little bit more like me and then some of them looked a little bit more like Steve. This one was cross-eyed, which was my favorite. It was so weird because I felt like these were our children, like grown up. There was something weird happening to me where I was like, these aren't real. I had to tell myself these aren't real people. Like this is not a real thing. Like you and Steve don't have a grown-up child that you need to worry about. It was really funny. But anyway, so we were playing with that for ages. And then I decided to draw a version of one of them with my Tim Holtz Distress crayons. And that was really fun. It's hard to, make sure the transfer doesn't go everywhere, but I had this spare piece of paper, so that worked out nicely. And then I did another AI one. This is more like Cubist, kind of impressionist painting version of AI, which is very impressive. Like, I need AI to hold up just a little bit. Just a little bit. I don't care what happens later on in the universe's history, but while I'm alive, I could do without a little bit of that AI. Or some really harsh regulations around it, because it's really making me nervous. Before I was like, oh, when AI happens, like artists will always have their jobs, right? Because they can't do art. They're not artists. And then now I'm looking at it thinking, yep, absolutely, they could get rid of me. What if this is AI? What if you didn't know? What if I trained an AI to watch all my YouTube videos and then to make a journal flip based on something that I would do? Like all the aggregate data from 700 plus YouTube videos I fed it. I think that'd be really funny, actually. I would love to watch that. I'm sure it would stuff up. AI can't even get hands right. I'm literally just starting to figure that out, that hands don't have 65 fingers. So anyway, I shouldn't say that. What if the AI can hear me? I take it all back. I love AI. But there's an algorithm listening, right? Like that's the algorithm is listening to everything I say, picking up on it, making thoughts about it. Dear AI, please leave me alone in all the bad ways. If you want to help me make $1 trillion, send me a message on my iPad. Then I'll know it's you. Wow, I'm losing it. I gotta go. I haven't eaten my lunch yet. Oof, my back is sore too. This was Christmas Day, and then some extra photos that we had. I like to document a lot of the food that we have on Christmas Day because I don't really cook it, and so I think it's just a nice way to remember how everybody gives me such a lovely day by sharing their talents and gifts and cooking things for me. This was the Sweethearts Night at Disneyland. Steve got free tickets to go. I would not have really paid for it. It was cute, but I think they charge a lot of money for not a lot of extra that goes on. The only one I really, really thought was worth it was the Christmas one they did a couple of years ago. But yeah, it's really, I don't know, these like after dark events, I can appreciate what they're doing. It shocks me that so many people are like willing to pay so much money for it. Because I think you get just as much out of a regular day at the park. It's like a very specific thing you might be going there for. Like if you really wanted to see, your characters in kind of like older costumes or something, or like a very specific character you might be going there for, which I guess is maybe why I liked the Christmas one, because it was the Muppets and that's what I wanted to see. So maybe I'm just off. But maybe it's worth it if you really want to see the thing that they're telling you you're going to see. But yeah, the Sweethearts Night, I just expect more entertainment. Like, I mean, and then I always say this, but like, I'm just greedy like that. That's what I like going to the parks for. And so I'm always going to want more, more, more. And even, did the Christmas one, I think they put on the Christmas parade as well. At these ones, they don't have like extra shows or anything like that. They had a little ditty where you could dance with the prince and princesses, which was nice, but I kind of expect like a show. I think the princess one had a show. They're all different. I don't really know. Here's a Christmas card. Here's more junk. Our bands from the Sweethearts Night. There's little Lige. I took this photo of him when he was teeny tiny. This is more from my bonbon. Here is my original sketch for my parade drawing. This is a lot of notes from things. Oh, the Saturday Chatterday. That's for Patreon. Steve and I answered all those questions. It was kind of funny. This was from Art Gelling the Magic. I put it here because this was actually drawn with the same information that I use in the lesson. It's a lesson that kind of involves Mary Blair and Rolly Crump. Rolly Crump just passed away, rest in peace. And it's like concept art that they did for Small World, but I've like developed kind of this style around using it to create other things that have that concept art vibe. Anyway, so I put it there because it was kind of the same thing. Here's a bunch of photos from Christmas Parade. I think they're all ball photos. I did those 2 tracks, but I never really did Finale. I did Finale a couple of times. I was only a sub for that particular role. And I think I did it a total of 2 days, that whole season. So most of my memories and most of my photos are of this candlelight bowl unit. And I loved it. Love, love, love it. Here was more. Sorry, I have to get you in frame. Here was more from Playtest Patreon. The lesson that I ended up teaching after that storyteller playtime. Again, from that broken journal. Photos of things. I'm in my hideous 0.5 photo era. I love taking photos with the 0.5 zoom just because they're so warped. But Steve took this really horrendous photo of me at House of Pizza. So I took this. I was trying to get it as hideous, but his turned out okay. And now I'm specifically only going to be taking vile photos of Steve and of myself too sometimes. And I'm going to enjoy that. I love laughing. Like, I don't know if you know this about me, but I do love laughing. I love humor. So I love to kind of put that in my journals a lot as well. Things that just truly make me laugh. And even though, as much as I love photography, as much as I love looking good in photos when I can, I also think it's absolutely hilarious to see horrendous photos. And years ago, I had like an Instax camera, you know, the Instax Mini. I had one of those cameras, and I would fill it with film, and I go and like sneak up on people and just take a photo of them, like just as they turned around or something. And so I have this whole, it was one cast, it was when I was working on Disney Cruise Line, and I have a photo of every single person in that cast looking horrendous on Polaroids. And it is just so funny to me. I don't think they found it that funny. Like some of them really didn't like it, but I mean, I will always find that. It will always bring a smile to my face. And I would think they would want that for me. If there were ugly ones of me too, don't worry. I think hideous photos are funny. They make the nice ones look even nicer by comparison. See, look, that looks extra nice next to this. Oh, goodness. Look at Hootie and Lige. He's such a good big brother. I'm glad to see it, actually. I don't think he was enjoying her in the beginning. I think he was... I mean, I've never been an only child, so I wouldn't know, but I think he kind of missed his everyone's full attention being on him, which I've heard was kind of normal, but I think he's adopting his role now as big brother and enjoying it. And he's got another little baby on the way, another little brother or sister. We don't know what it is yet, but soon. So maybe that'll be nice. That can make Savannah the middle child, and then she can have all the issues. I don't know who has the issues. I heard the middle children have the issues. I've also heard that the eldest children have the issues because they were only children, then they don't. And then the youngest children, by that point, the parents have just like really eased up on them. So like they have issues. I have no idea. Does everyone just have issues? Don't answer that in the comments. I know a lot of you are parents, and I wouldn't want your children to see what you're about to say. More junk, Starbucks junk. A little Jolly Trolley photo shoot. So funny. We've had so much rainy day. You know when I documented this, I took photo of it because I was like, we never have rain. I'm going to take a photo of this. Has not stopped raining since. So this was a cute little like, how funny. Now I'm absolutely traumatized by it. Today is a gorgeous day, so maybe things are looking up. But we shouldn't whinge because California really needed the rain. And look, I don't mind it, to be honest. I just don't want to be in it. I don't want to be outside in the wet. So it just keeps me inside, which is a little depressing. Here's the other version of the photo from the front, because I liked two of them. I picked two for my final choice, if you haven't seen that video. Stella made me a gift, like a shadow frame thing for Christmas with all the Australian stuff in it. It was kind of like a scrapbooking page of Australia. She had stickers in it and everything, and all the stuff she didn't use, she wrapped up and gave to me for Christmas as well, which I was like, this is literally better than the present, no offense, but I just love getting ephemera because it's all for my journaling. I mean, I have such a great time. I think if you were going to give me a gift, if we were like going out somewhere and you're going to give me a gift, you could just give me like the napkin from the restaurant, the business card, the pamphlet, the train ticket, like whatever ephemera you collected along the way, like that would be a great gift for me. If it meant something to me, like I don't want your junk. But Steve knows now, if we ever go anywhere and he's like, oh, here's a ticket, here you go, or here's a thing, here you go, or he'll grab one of extra for something because he'll know that I'll want it. And especially when we go out to see plays and stuff, like I always scrumple I scrumple it. I scrunch up my playbill, and he'll always make sure that he'll give me his so that I have a nice fresh one for my journal. Anyway, I put Zumba photos in here as well. I used to do progress photos of my body, and something about that just was like turning me off a little bit. I'm not going to say I'm against it, but like for some reason I found that to be like a guaranteed way for me to not do better. I don't know why. Self-sabotage. But I have still wanted to document the process of me getting to a healthier, fitter being. So I take photos at Zumba. It's just like me at Zumba. Sometimes it's me by myself, sometimes it's me with the group, whenever they stop to do like a whole group photo. But I've stopped like just taking my shirt off and taking a photo in the bathroom mirror because that just really wasn't helping me a lot. I used to do it a lot, and sometimes it's just a little depressing to go through my camera roll and see it like get worse. That was my own fault. Here is my 2022 year in review. I have to do this when I do my 5-year journal. It's always nice to see everything kind of laid out, like a whole year of things that happened. Sometimes I end up focusing too much on work, like work accomplishments, but I mean, that's something I do like to celebrate as well. This was Art Snacks. Look at this was one of my first washi tapes. I haven't had a size that wide in so long. Again, it's hard to put that in smaller journals, but it worked perfectly in here. So I do want to create some washi tapes and stamps. I'm just holding off on that for a second. Here's more Wednesday Addamses. We've been doing Wednesday on Playtest Patreon, so there's a ton of Wednesday Addams content. And yeah, that's really it. Oh, here's some more Zumba stuff. See, it's just me like standing in the mirror. It's not shirtless in the bathroom. That's too graphic. It's too graphic for my brain to process. It gets very upset. These are my eyes too. Steve was like, why did you take a photo of my eyes and put them in there? And I was like, your eyes? Since when do your eyes look like that? So if you thought they were my eyes, you were correct. I honestly don't even know why I have that there. I printed out a couple of them. Oh, I think it reminded me of Big Brother. Also, you can see there's like dots on the page. I had a whole bunch of paper in the thing, and the printer, like for some reason, and it was glossy sticker paper. The printer just turned on, or not turned, it was on, but it just fed it through and started like doing a weird thing. And when I looked at all the pages, there was nothing printed on them except the same pattern of dots. Like it looked like it was just like someone had flicked ink on the page, but it was like the same thing for like five sheets, and I had to manually press cancel. Thank goodness I did, because I would have lost so much paper. But then I haven't had a reason to use any of that because it's got random speckles on it. So I think I just used it for that. That's why there's speckles on there, which it worked for that. And there we go, volume 1 completed March 23, 2023. And I've already started the next one. Steve and I did a doubles journaling video on Playtest Patreon 3, and that is well underway. I'm really excited to get more of my junk in there. This has meant that a lot of my other journals that kind of serve the same purpose have taken a bit of a backseat. So I haven't done any garbage journaling for a while because the garbage goes in here. Haven't done any photo journaling in a while because the photos go in here. I still do my 5-year journal, obviously. I still plan in my planner. I still draw in other journals. Like I'm doing my 100-day project in my Strathmore journal. So I still use other journals, but a lot of especially like the photo and the garbage stuff has all been consolidated into these for now. And I don't know what the balance of that is going to look like, to be honest. Sometimes I think, well, I'll just do all the big stuff in here, I'll do the smaller stuff in the other journals, but I also feel like that's way too much double handling, and my preference right now is just to use it in here. Like it just is, I don't know why, so I should just go with it. That has always been my advice, just to kind of go with what you're feeling in the moment, because there will probably be a time where I get maybe even through the next one and I think, I'm over this huge size now, I want to go back to small. My preferences change so often, or perhaps like I'll just keep this off to the side for when I want to do like a really big spread like this for some reason, and I'll just have both. But I don't believe I need to like weed out journals to get to the smallest, most concise, most condensed pack of journals that work the best for me and are the most effective in the least amount of journals. Like I don't really have that goal. I'm not trying to consolidate anything. I actually don't mind adding and adding and adding and then jumping around even more. It just means that journals don't get filled up as quickly, but there is no reason to fill up a journal quickly, like unless you're doing a project where you have to finish it. So sometimes I will do that, but for the most part, like I really don't care if this journal, like this one especially, like I didn't care if I started it in November and I didn't finish it until March. Like that's not a problem for me, even if it is a Christmas journal. But I have some other ideas. Like this Christmas, I want to do something completely different. Like I don't want to do one in here because last year I didn't even want to do this. Last year I had a different idea for my Christmas journal that I didn't even get around to doing, or I started it, but I got like 1% of the way through the idea before I had to abandon it because I had no time. So this year I want to do that idea. I don't know if I shared it before. I'll keep it a secret for now. If you know it already, you know it. But if not, maybe I'll keep it a secret. Anyway, there is my journal. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for sitting through that flip and watching with me. I really enjoyed sharing that with you. I could have gone into so much more detail about everything, but it's just family stuff. And if you want to see mostly where everything in here came from, we have the self-portrait video on there. We have how I made the video on YouTube. The Australia vlog is on YouTube, and in Playtest Patreon, Steve and I did a director's cut version where we actually voice overed it and kind of live narrated it, so you can see that there too. Speaking of, Playtest Patreon is finishing up at the end of, no, not next week, the week after. It's coming to an end, so if you want to join now, join now. Otherwise, I'll bundle it all up and it'll be available to purchase later on Teachable. For everyone that's joined in March, you will be given an access code to join for free on Teachable. And that is just how that's going to work. Just wanted to make sure you knew before I left. Thank you for watching. I will see you again soon. Goodbye.